Good afternoon. So this is supposed to be a pie chart. I mean, conventionally a pie chart will have a casual discussion of a topic. And in view of the limited time, we would like to specify a little bit, format the whole program, because we hardly have about 40 minutes, and I have eminent speakers here. So we want to fully utilize their potential and see what are the issues involved in the intersection of pharma, healthcare, and machine learning. It was in around 50s, the first term artificial intelligence came as a subject into education and research, and it was not very popular at that time. And things like expert systems, etc., they are very popular. The very most important aspect is there, the one system called mycin to detect the impact of the bacteria and what type of antibiotic that can be prescribed, what is the dosage, etc. So that was in 50s. The next 2-3 decades, people forgot about artificial intelligence. And during the last maybe 5 to 6, maybe less than 10 years, the tool of artificial intelligence has become popular. The specific reason for it is the availability of the superior systems, fast processing, data processing systems, and ability to store, analyze. So that made the change. And again, the whole concept of artificial intelligence has been revived. Essentially, considering these aspects, now on this intersection, pharma, healthcare, and machine learning. And machine learning, again, is a new jargon for the old tech under the new tool called as machine learning. But it's interesting to learn that this particular tool is becoming very powerful, has got immense scope, particularly because of the availability of a lot of data. Machine learning requires good amount of data, and today we had 5 lakh cases which have been stored. They become one of the excellent tools for analysis. Considering these issues, we'll have a few ideas from my colleagues. Essentially, how do you leverage the technology to deliver value in terms of the healthcare and issues of research in pharma. And pharma and healthcare, as I was talking to Mr. Srinivas Rao, are very much overlapping. They are not mutually exclusive, except the science part of it. So considering these two issues, I will ask Dr. Srinivas Rao Pujala, what do you think is the current scenario in terms of a casual discussion in terms of the healthcare? What are the issues? Where do we stand? And what are the unmet needs? Okay. Could you identify that?
Okay. To be very specific to your question, I think our traditional challenges of the golden triangle, which are the quality, affordability, and accessibility of healthcare, they still remain. In a vast country like India, they tend to remain, and globally also these are the challenges. And there are new emerging challenges. These new emerging challenges are the information management in healthcare. Today it is extremely poor, and it becomes very pertinent to today's discussion. So I'll focus more on this challenge of information and then relate that to these 3 healthcare challenges, possibly. So today there's a lot of data available in healthcare. When we talk of artificial intelligence, which is a non-human intelligence, so where is this intelligence coming from, artificial intelligence? It emanates from a data set. So what is the data in healthcare today, and where does it sit? So today in India, when I speak from an Indian perspective, about 96% of the data still is non-digital. There's only 4% digitalization of healthcare data across India. So that itself is a challenge. So why do you need data? So you need data to, first you have to collate the data into a digital systems. So today, what are the digital systems available to collate data in India? You have a lot of, you must have heard about electronic medical records, electronic health records, hospital information systems. You have ultrasound scanners, you have CT scan machines, you have PAC systems to store the imaging data. So the data is actually scattered across multiple systems, and data is humongous. The amount of data that sits in healthcare is humongous. So it is also estimated recently that the healthcare data is doubling. Globally, the healthcare data is doubling every 3 months. So the data is also doubling. So how to do this data challenge? So first, you need to store this data. Once you store this data, the data is in various forms. You have data in textual form, you have data in numeric form, you also have data in image forms, right? You have X-rays, you have CT scans, you also have blood pressure recording, you have respiratory rate recording, which are in numeric forms, and you also have data in textual form, the discharge summaries and maybe the case summaries are in the textual form. So this data first have to get stored. Today, they are getting stored on the local servers of most of the hospitals. But yes, new technologies emerged. The cloud technologies where the data is residing. That makes life easy because the data is actually getting onto a single platform. So what happens after the data gets into these storage systems? Then it has to get cleaned. There is something called data cleaning. And the data storage is called data mining in technology language. So you mine the data, you clean the data. Then you need to analyze the data. So how do you analyze the data? The data is available to you, now how do you analyze it? Is there any algorithm available? Just like Amazon, you search for a holiday in Goa, then Make My Trip haunts you until you go to Goa. Or you search for a shoe or a chapel, then Amazon and eBay and Flipkart, they will haunt you, right? Is that something that is also present in healthcare today? In e-commerce, it is extremely prevalent and proven to be successful. But in healthcare today, the data, as I told you, it's stored. It is not, analytic capabilities are limited. Do I mean to say that artificial intelligence is not fully full-fledged? Yes, in some cases, there is an artificial narrow intelligence also. It is not complete intelligence. Yes, there is a narrow intelligence. Yes, after that, after the data is analyzed, so how the data is analyzed? Basically, it is analyzed through machine learning. Generally, how are you learning? You are learning through your brain. How is a machine learning? A computer is learning the data sets, and there's a humongous data available, and it throws out some intelligence. So today, what are the applications of this artificial intelligence? So this is artificial intelligence. So a machine is learning various data sets, it is analyzing. How is it learning? Then there are neural networks. Just like your brain has neural networks, now artificial intelligence also has neural networks. So once this data is analyzed, then it can be applied. And there are definitely successful case studies of data analytics. One of the healthcare successful case studies of data analytics is, I think, done by Google over last 2 years with Arvind Hospital, especially in the area of diabetic retinopathy. And they have chosen particularly India because there's a huge incidence of diabetes. So 1 in every 10 is diabetic now globally, and 1 in 3 is pre-diabetic. That means they have a risk of getting diabetes. So whenever someone gets diabetes, they are at a risk of multiple organ gets affected. So one of the most common is eye. So there is a condition called diabetic retinopathy, which is very difficult to detect in early stage. So the earlier you detect, the better are the outcomes. This is where Google deep learning algorithms, they have analyzed over 100,000 data sets of diabetic retinopathy, and they have actually come up with a deep learning algorithm which can be applied on any diabetic retinopathy data set, which can diagnose diabetic retinopathy with 99% accuracy. Okay, so similarly, you have such, IBM has done IBM Watson. So if, again, coming back to the data is actually in 5, if I have to segment healthcare data, they are into 5 segments. There's an administrative data in the hospital. That means patient coming, registering with you, the sex of the patient, the age of the patient, the ethnicity of the patient, where does he stay. So you can find endemicity of the disease, like how many people from Warangal have hypothyroid, if you really have the data to that extent. So that is administrative data. Similarly, you have procurement data, supply chain data within the hospital. That is the administrative data in the hospital. Then you have clinical data, which is the core clinical data, the data that emanates out of emergency rooms, intensive care units, the OPDs, inpatients of a hospital. Then you have financial data, which is a billing data, which is a health insurance data that is available in the hospital. The fourth segment of the data is the financial and then quality data. Are there any errors, medical errors that are happening in the, how to analyze those medical errors, how the quality is affecting the overall functioning of the hospital. Then finally, you also have technological data, which is the data that is coming out of your technology systems. So this is overall how a clinician interprets an artificial intelligence, maybe machine learning and also the data analysis. So there are much more case studies. Possibly, I think in interest of time, I will give my mic back to the moderator.
It's interesting that you have mentioned about different types of data that are embedded into the entire health care system. And this morning there was a presentation on hype, hope and harm in modern health era. Considering what data and the morning presentation, Dr. Sakaram, can you just give your most considered view from the pharma sector? What are the issues involved in this in terms of, again, coming back same question, unmet needs, focusing, forget about the technology, but as a domain itself, what do you think as a pharmacy specialist you think?
Hello. Maybe what I will do is that I'll take 1 minute extra to answer the question. Is that
No, just you put it.
yeah, one quick feedback I'll give. I mean, I'll go in a layman language. We all know it. That we are talking about digital health, and our topic of discussion is man.
Intersection
of
pharma,
healthcare, and
machine learning.
Machine learning. So we need to understand the basic scenario. We go back to 25 years. The basic stakeholders of a healthcare was a doctor, a patient, a pharmaceutical company which manufactures the product, and the second outside this circle is the first circle. You have regulators since then also. They have strengthened over a period of time. Then what happened is that technologies kept flowing in, and they eased out the process. So it's like the typical definition of a machine from Three Idiot. Anything which eases your work, from pen snip to a pants zip. These all are machines. Exactly same principle is applicable in healthcare system. So whatever was hindering the basic, all the recipients in this healthcare ecosystem, and that has been evolved with the use of machines. Now this has already been explained very well in a scientific terminology by Dr. Srinivas right away. From a pharma side, though pharma would love to touch each and every aspect, there are two angles. One is from the cost effectiveness, because not all companies into charity work, so they would want to see profit in it for sure. And then there is something which is called as corporate social responsibility, which is either forced from government end or you would like to do willingly from your end. So the interest of pharma is double-fold. Majority of the interest is from a profit perspective. Okay. So in this network of the healthcare ecosystem, wherever pharma could penetrate, right from products to machines, to engaging the patients, engaging the doctors, and increasing the profitability of their own products in their own ways, they would like to jump. So we would not define in a healthcare system as the company which is manufacturing a tablet or a capsule is the pharmaceutical company. Anybody which is providing the treatment aspect of it, or any institute, would be considered as that stakeholder which is outside regulator, patient, and the doctor. They are the service provider. So a device manufacturer, a technology manufacturer, or the one who is giving you the basic medication, these are the guys. Now, unmet need as such, I would not say, because country to country, region to region, they would vary. Because there are multiple factors which contribute to so-called unmet need. So from which angle we are seeing this need, the delivery would change. So if from a patient perspective, if you see what is the unmet need, I think in the first half of the day, we have seen a lot of unmet needs which are already been catered by number of startups and the stalwarts in digital healthcare. From a doctor's point of view, I think the Dr. Lalwani already spoke, he gave 7-point agenda, what all things we need to innovate it, right from approaching a patient, right, and patients notifying symptoms, fixing the appointment, follow-up of the appointment, prescribing the medication, keeping the records. From that point of view, till you take the medicines, you get probably if it's a surgery case, get operated and go out, and then for the follow-up, everything you think of, you have technology now which is jumping into it. Now from a pharma side, specific answer is that wherever pharmaceutical company would feel that they want to brand a product, there is no technology now. If I want to manufacture a product, the technology would always be with the pharma company itself, which would not be reaching out to a patient or a doctor. They would just be interested in the product, final delivery. But they would purely want to have an intersection of technology where they feel there would be brand promotion. That I would invest the money from a pharma side in any technology where I feel my brand would grow and it will financially support me. So that is how is the perception of any unmet need you talk about from pharmaceutical sector.
I think it's quite interesting to see your perspective, both from the patient point of view as well as the doctor's point of view in terms of the pharma needs. So we'll come back to on the same later. Before that, we are talking about the technology. See, there is a technology push, technology pull. As an engineer, this morning somebody was telling, Dr. Malpani or somebody, I think, engineers and doctors he is comparing. Because some technology is available, you're trying to push it and asking somebody to use it. That is one way. Now, somebody wants it. I want, this is my need. This is the way the technology need to be applied. Can you help me in developing a technology? So there's a technology push and technology pull. So most of the technologies, from the business point of view, are examples of technology push. And what is needed is more a technology pull, particularly in the field of medicine. We need a technology. There are so many problems which have not been addressed, whether technology can help it. So that is an issue. Comparing these needs of technology push and technology pull, how do you think machine learning per se as a subject could interfere, could address some of these tasks, sure. Dr. Abhishek?
Sure, right, sir. So first I must commend both the other eminent members on the stage here. Dr. Srinivas, I really like your term, artificial narrow intelligence. We must be publishing this somewhere. And as you properly put, Dr. Shakram, it is about, and sort of answering your question also, sir, in a very short answer, and then I'll elaborate. It is really about the ROI, the earned value. I'm investing in AI for what? All right, we are researchers, that is my research domain. We get a kick out of it. Yes, I have done this, I have beaten that. But does that really reach the benefit to the last mile, to the person, whoever is going to use it? Now we've got two consumers here, taking away your first circle. First you have a patient, and then you have the doctor. Either way, no offense to doctors. First you have the doctor, then the patient, for the doctors in the audience maybe. Now, as a doctor, as a patient, yes, just like pharma, AI comes to me, I gain the benefits, I reap the benefits of AI. The push or pull that Murali Krishna sir is talking about is purely from the perspective of the doctor. Can I really push AI to a doctor? I will take a step back, sir. You mentioned 1958 Dartmouth conference was when AI got coined. That we call that the first wave of AI. Yeah. Then came a second wave. That was all logic-based. Then came neural networks, and currently it is all lots of data-driven. We call it big data-driven or fourth paradigm. Now the challenge is it needs data. Very well put by Dr. Srinivas. Where is the data? The 5 areas of data that you mentioned, doctor, I agree with you. I will add one more area of data. What is that? Let's go to an ER, an emergency room. My dear doctor there is responsible for doing a triage on, most of you would be familiar with triage. I've got 3 patients who have come into the ER. I want to decide, I need to decide, it's a hard fact. Who do I address first? I have a probability of saving a patient 60%, another one 40%. On my decision, touch wood, I'm not a clinician, On the doctor's decision, it will be who gets that breath of life. A very practical question when we deal with AI. Now, can I ask that doctor in the ER, sir? Ma'am, stop trying to do your tracheostomy on that. First, punch in some numbers. Who is going to ethically like that? Who is going to financially like that? Which regulator is going to like that? It is not feasible. The sixth paradigm of data, sir, is where the doctor's touch comes in. As doctors, as clinicians, healthcare professionals, we are all human beings. We have our senses. We gather data, we process it, and based on that, we act and connect with the world. That data which is going in, going back to my engineering, that system analysis is the biggest challenge in pushing the technology, sir. It is a challenge in AI, and it is one frontier that, if solved, is probably going to make all of these things streamlined. How we can probably, I believe, we'll have more opportunity to solve it, to answer that question. But if we can solve that human connect, the human doctor giving treatment to the human patient, and I bet it on stage, AI will not replace human doctors. For one single word, which is empathy. Thank you, I appreciate. For one single word, which is empathy, human factors. Unless we can bring that in, unless we can gather that sixth paradigm of data, AI is on crutches. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
It's good. It's the thing. So I was just thinking, oh, it's on clutches. I was just shocked. That's the thing. So coming back to Srinivas, you mentioned about the 5 points, and one more point as mentioned by Abhishek, and the other issues mentioned by from Sakaram. I think considering the intersection and taking it forward, can you focus some sort of challenges you think you have in mind, based on the experience or based on the forecast that could be possible, made possible?
Okay, definitely. I think AI has been, definitely it's going to transform the way the healthcare moves going forward. I think there are definitely certain blind spots, challenges that needs to be addressed in AI. Predominantly as a clinician, and maybe patients may also think, what is the safety of AI? Suppose I'm going for a robotic surgery. I'm sleeping on a surgical table, and some robo comes and then starts giving an incision on my abdomen. Is it safe? If there is a doctor standing there, I think the comfort of a patient is much higher, at least at the present scenario. So the safety is one aspect. What if a wrong diagnosis is made on an X-ray, if a cancer is missed by the AI algorithm, and then possibly it gets detected at the third stage? These are some of the things that we need to think. The second is of course, the efficiency of AI. I think it's quite validated, and in many cases has been proven so far on the 2 cases, whether it is diabetic retinopathy or on replacing a radiologist for diagnosing. So AI has been proven very good for the repetitive tasks in medicine, like identifying if you are loading a computer with 100,000 X-rays of pulmonary embolism, 100,000 X-rays of, say, lung cancer, or 200,000 mammograms, then its efficacy of detecting that particular tumor is pretty high. So far, it has been proven that it is 2% higher than doctors. So, in case of diabetic retinopathy. So, I think efficacy is something that we need to validate, but does any regulatory, the third challenge is the regulatories. Today, is there any regulatory body that is actually giving an kind of an endorsement that this AI product is safe? Yes, I think FDA, Food and Drug Administration US, is working on it, but they still are not 100% on the regulatory aspect of it. When I talk about regulation, it's not just the final product, but I told about the data. So the data, the textual, so there are other regulatory factors. There's HL7 governing the textual and numeric data. There are other kind of regulatories that are governing the imaging data, DICOM and so on. So today, the regulatory framework around AI is not complete. I think that needs to be synced. The final is, yes, and the ethical aspect, the ethical challenges of AI. Suppose if there is a hospital that actually embraces AI-based systems, clinical decision support systems, and also X-ray reading, automated X-ray reading systems. Suppose the X-ray reading system makes a mistake, who is liable for it? Who is responsible and accountable for it? If there is a legal case, at least not in India, but in the Western world, the medical legal aspects are very stringent. So who has to be blamed? These are some of the 3-4 challenges that I feel need to be addressed around AI before a full deployment. But I think, yes, in the fire chat, it's around AI, and the benefits so far, the benefits of AI outweigh the challenges as of now for the products that are released, but I'm hoping that it's going to be very successful, sir, Murali Krishna sir. So that's going to be, when I outweigh the benefits, I think benefits are quite outweighed over the
So you-
deficiencies of AI.
You are confident that, including the ethical challenges you are mentioning about it, I think
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
very important.
These are the frameworks that need to be addressed
Oh,
globally.
Very interesting. Dr. Sakram, see, we are talking about, after a basic introduction about the issues of pharma, which are very interesting to know about. We're talking about the intersection of pharma and machine learning. What is your perspective? Machine learning versus pharma intersection in terms of, I view pharma has got a little overlapping with healthcare.
You cannot separate it.
Yeah, separated. Maybe chemistry part is slightly different. That's the only issue. So can you highlight the issues of machine learning and the pharma intersection, the issues, challenges, problems, pain points, if any, etc.
Maybe I will add to what Dr. Srinivas has
Please,
just
go
said,
ahead,
because
go
we
ahead.
come from the same school of thought. So I would add a couple of things. Because, in my first response as well, I am not throwing any jargons. I'm just giving the basic information grassroots level. Because in last 18 years of my work experience, before jumping into a private personal setup, when I compare India with developed economies and underdeveloping, where we are ahead of some of the economies. Now, when you talk about why India? Now, first question. When you talk about digital health or IT, or everybody knows that we are the global hub for IT resources. Number one is that we have maximum number of trained resources here. You ask one, you will get 1,000. One engineer you circulate an ad, you will get 1,000 of them. Again, in last 10 years or 15 years rather, the atmosphere in various parts of tier 1, tier 2 cities of India are so fertile to produce newer things that you don't have any difficulties. Like that, the typical Hindi word that Babugiri has gone down. If you want to start something, it might not be that late as you would think 10 years back. It will be much faster. So that first I'm talking about the advantages, why here. And thirdly, the policies are also favorable now to some extent. That government policies, like best example is Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Like they are the leading states for anything for pharma. You talk about 60% of raw material to India and outside is provided by Hyderabad. I think we should be proud of that. Now the challenges which I'm talking about, though we have these positive points. Now eventually if you see in this whole ecosystem or the circle, the last mile is the patient. We don't live in a world or we don't live in a country where you're paying 60% tax and your son's education, your medicines, everything have been taken care by government. We are a completely privatized healthcare system that we are paying from our pocket. Now, you find out innovation. There are 3 ways of doing it for health, digital healthcare: accessibility, affordability, and quality. Wherever you go in the world, these are the 3 things. You want to bring in something which intersect these parameters which we are discussing, that has to hit at least one of these. It should make something accessible, it should make something affordable, and it should save patient's life eventually. Or it should increase that patient's quality of life. Whatever you want to bring. Now let's jump to the next one. You have brought something in, but actually, if you have priced it, because we are the most price-sensitive market. Now the first issue is there a genuine unmet need? I might have a formula, I designed a rocket, I can send everyone to moon, But I want to go to my office, I don't want to go to moon. So what will I do with your rocket? So there has to be a genuine unmet need, one. Suppose second question now. There is a genuine unmet need. Say cancer drugs, if you see, we had a gentleman from Roche, and I fully respect the MNCs. We are from the pharma background. The MNCs, because they are investing so much into drugs, when a new drug hits the market, you can't even imagine the price. All the cancer drugs are so highly priced globally. At least in India, it's a highly competitive market. We can still, and our government is really strong. We have NPPA, but NPPA doesn't cover beyond 350 drugs, pricing authority. So our prices of those drugs are very high. You get in generic biosimilars and all, which are cheaper. Again, even after generics or cheaper drugs, are they reaching each and every pocket? Same is with technology. You designed a technology. Is that technology affordable, or it is only affordable to corporate hospitals or polyclinic? If it is not going to the poorest class, suppose you have 100 patients, you have designed a tool, designed an app, it is only affordable to 5 people of hundreds, it's a waste. I mean, I don't mean to say waste, but it is not going to the intended population to which you want to take it. And number 3, quality. Because you have designed something really good, and you have not tried it, tasted, qualified, and if you fail, then the mistrust which probably you will bring with that, it will affect the whole industry as such. That don't believe in digital. The Fitbit is just useless. Now Fitbit is so good. You just go into the hall and see how many people are putting in Fitbit. Why? It should have been sold. It is in the market for last 4+ years. You have so many high-end digital health equipment. How many people are using? Take a round and see. Then that means trust has to be there. Affordability has to be there. Again, everything is there. Affordable, trustworthy, quality. But I'm not aware it is in the market. If I'm not aware, I'm not going to buy it.
Time is over.
So awareness also is a big issue, that it should be trained. And last question is that India, if you make something mandate, people buy it. If it is genuinely required. If I say this is a no entry road, you cannot. Otherwise, if you just say don't go, everybody will put the bike and go ahead. Unless some police person stands and say don't do it. So you want to bring a technology, helmet is a technology, sir. How many people are putting in helmet? At a signal, if you see a cop standing, and you will put on the helmet and go ahead.
Thank you.
So these are the 5 acts that you should consider.
Thank you, Sakram. Basically, your point of innovation is well taken here. And we have just take 2 minutes to the organizers, 1 minute to Abhishek. I mean, issues of, in terms of the technology per se, we have 2 domain experts enriched with technology. You are a hardcore technology specialist. Can you just tell within 1 minute, what are the challenges you think ML application as a, one of the most important tools in healthcare?
Sure. I would say the answer has already been, I will only have to paraphrase what Dr. Srinivas and Dr. Shakharam have said, and I will go in the reverse order of what Dr. Shakharam said. Is the end user aware of it existing? Why do I say that? We are touching upon the price point. India being a cost-sensitive market, we are all aware of this. We operate here. 95% of artificial intelligence, I'll stick to the domain, IoT, robotics, all of that, 95% is open source, open access, available for free. Then why is it that every small hospital, they don't have to pay anything for it? Why don't they implement it? I will not take any corporate offerings name, but just like that, why is my AI-based model and my data sets which are available, most of it, why is it not being applied? Because of the lack of awareness. That lack of awareness is the first and foremost problem we have to solve. I'll answer this in 2 parts, sir. One is the lack of awareness. If you have the awareness, it is affordable, it is accessible, and it is, of course, sustainable, because it is all open access, open source. The second part to it, thank you. The second part to it, what is the technical challenge? The technical challenge is AI in general is not very optimal today. What we see in the market, we see some very nice flagships that have been there. But let's just say it's, if we compare it, it is like an ambassador compared to a Mercedes-Benz. That is the technical challenge that we have to solve. Thank you.
I think we had a very interesting 5 chart, essentially highlighting the needs of the application of the technology and the availability of the data. Data is the new oil, and importance of innovation. Innovation, So we are mostly talking about the product innovation. I have not yet to see some sort of a process innovation. Process innovation is equally important, particularly in the healthcare. Maybe in pharma it is already well established. In healthcare, any process innovation, then customer satisfaction, business development, these are the four components of innovation when you're talking about healthcare as an industry. So I thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity, and I thank my co-panelists also for the excellent inputs they have given in making a lively fight chart. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe if the organizers, can we have some questions? Yeah, the organizers are very kind. So if you have any questions, please, we have wonderful 3 people here.
This question is to Dr. Srinivas Rao. Sir, you mentioned, in fact, I like the statement, the artificial intelligence cannot replace the doctor.
Cannot be?
Replace the doctor. At the same time, you said that it's like human brain. If it is like human brain, if it is the doctor's brain, I agree with your statement, it can't replace the doctor. And various lectures, the scientists like Michel Kaku, or even the philosophers like Sadhguru have mentioned, the doctor has got intellect, whereas the machine has intelligence. Intelligence and intellect are 2 different things altogether. Intellect is a quantum mechanical phenomena. Intelligence is a computational phenomena of the computers. Now the doctor can take advantage of the intelligence of the machine because it is computationally very advanced compared to his brain. But the interactions within the computations, the ultimate result may go away, which the doctor has got an additional force, according to quantum mechanics, or Michel Kaku, it's the consciousness, what they call it, vacuum energy, quantum mechanical energy. This is the 5th force, in addition to electromagnetic force, strong force, weak force, and gravitational force. The 5th force is existing. Homeopathy, this system of medicine is not discussed till now, and this is based on this energy-based medicine, but there is no evidence, probably that's why you're not discussed on that. Ayurveda and allopathy has got evidence-based, but if you go into quantum mechanical aspect, they have side effects. You don't know what is the cause and what is the symptom ultimately. So, in view of this difference between intellect and intelligence, people are thinking of putting this machine, artificial machines, in the brain of the doctors. Will it improve the computational capability as well as the intellectual capability, say after 2 decades? Scientists have predicted this. What are your views on this?
Sir, absolutely. What I mean to say is I think there's an artificial intelligence applied on the lights to keep us awake. They're always blinking since lunch. So in terms of what I mentioned is the technology can be complementary to a doctor. The technology can be selectively used. When I mentioned those aspects like safety, ethical aspects and all, they are also equally important. Maybe yes, 2 decades from now, there could be a complete replacement. When I say replacement, even in telemedicine, if you say telemedicine, e-health, on the other side there's a doctor. But the only thing is through a technology they are connecting to a doctor. So yes, there are certain human factors which Mr. Abhishek has already mentioned. These are certain things which cannot be replaced by technology. The human factors, the empathy factor, the touch factor, spending time with the patient, counseling him. I think these are some of the aspects. But as I mentioned again, the accessibility in India is an issue. Doctor accessibility, there's a huge manpower shortage. Today there is 127,000 shortage of radiologists in India as per the recent report by WHO. There is 127,000 more radiologists required in India. So in such scenario, if there are humongous volumes of X-rays that are getting generated, we can always rely on an artificial intelligence algorithm which can give a diagnosis quickly rather than waiting for a doctor or worrying about the shortage of a radiologist. So yes, it has to be selectively used. Point very well taken, sir. I didn't mention that Technology can never, technology can be
Go to
complementary.
the next question. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Any other question, please? Yeah, one more question. One last question.
Okay, my question basically, I'm from International Data Corporation, IDC. My question actually coming to where you stopped just now on clinical decision support system. That is a present latest trend using the availability of data. My basic question is, patient data being highly confidential, it's being restricted to the particular hospital or particular clinics or hospital chains. Now, what I'm thinking is, okay, now we all know about IBM Watson Health, but that's okay, that's a high-priced item. For example, when we think about a frugal clinical decision support system, and particularly since that is based on local, particularly for country specific or regional specific, how the future of clinical decision support system from the viewpoint of frugality, since being it is confined within a particular healthcare organization. So is there any third-party organization which is really going to come to make it more accessible to a public domain?
Quickly answer.
I think I'll be quick to answer. Very good question. So today, IBM Watson, was it useful? Yes, it was useful in all the countries where there was universal healthcare because the data is owned by the government. That means all the data that is getting into electronic medical records, it's going on to a central electronic health record, which is owned by the government. For example, your health data in US or any universal healthcare country is owned by the government. So they can analyze the data anonymously. Yes, you need to maintain the data confidentiality. Today in India, is the data owned by the government? No, because we do not have a universal healthcare system. But I think with implementation of Aadhaar, with the ambitious universal healthcare scheme that is launched by the government, possibly I think the data will be collated, data will be owned by the government. I think we will have more options for access to the data and clinical decision support systems. Thank you for the question. Yeah,
I think we had a very interesting 5-chat question system also. Thank you very much.
The next session is on leveraging technology to deliver value to patients, caregivers,